Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Getting ready for work, so this is going to be a pretty quick video. I thought you guys would be interested in taking a look at this. Yeah, this is another video on finance, and unfortunately it's one of my hobbies, so that's why I tend to go towards this a little more often than not. So I hope that you guys find some value in it at least. So is it a video about prepping? Yes, it is. And the reason why I believe it's a video about prepping is because if you can't see what's coming, then you are not going to be preparing for what's coming. All right? I've always said that it doesn't matter what's coming. You should be prepping for anything. However, when you see it, it puts a bit more of urgency in your step. It kind of like gives you a little kick, a little push to want to prep a little more. All right? So I wanted to show you how it is that mathematics and the laws of physics does not fail. Mathematics and the laws of physics, the laws of nature, is not partial to anyone. All right? It operates with blinders on, all right, or with its eyes covered. It doesn't care who it affects. All right? It will affect whoever violates the laws by which it is governed. Okay, so for example, laws of physics, if you drop something, it's going to fall because of gravity. Okay, if you stop breathing for a certain number of minutes, you will cease to live because you need oxygen, etc. These things are not partial to anyone, to any place, or to anything. They will always exist, all right, unless of the system in which we live. Okay, so let me go ahead and read this really quick. All right, and then I just wanted to show you one thing that I found that makes it even worse than what it sounds like, unfortunately. Okay, so now this article was written back in March, okay, and it shows a few predictions on what the author here thought that our national debt, i.e. our interest payments, would be in the years to follow. Okay, so let me go ahead and start it because it's actually a pretty decent article and it's not that long. Okay, so the title is Interest on the National Debt and How It Affects You. The interest on the national debt is how much the federal government must pay on outstanding public debt each year. The current interest on the debt is $310 billion. That's from the federal budget for fiscal year 2018, October 1, 2017 through September 30th, 2018. Okay, so this $310 billion obviously was a projection because of what the interest rate would be, or interest payment would be on our national debt or public debt, because it was made back in March of 2019, which is roughly 6 months prior to the end of the fiscal year. Okay. And here, the public debt is $15.3 trillion. That's debt owed to individuals, businesses, and foreign central banks. Now, some people would wonder, why is our public debt only $15.3 trillion? It's more than that now, but like I said, this was written back in March. Well, the public debt is exactly that. It's what's owed to individuals, businesses, and foreign central banks. Now, our national debt, all right, as stated, is in excess of 21 trillion. Why is that? Because part of our national debt includes the intergovernmental debt that the government borrowed from Social Security. You see, back here about 20 or so years ago, maybe a little more than 20 years ago, Social Security was actually fully funded. There's a Social Security trust, all right, where the Social Security that's collected from your paychecks, okay, it actually goes into that fund, all right. But 20 plus years ago, I call it the rape of Social Security, because more than $5 trillion was extracted from that trust, okay, to spend, all right. It's been spent, it's gone. All right. That's why now Social Security is more of a pay-as-you-go kind of a Ponzi scheme is what I would call it. And the reason I call it a Ponzi scheme now is because if the payments aren't made to the trust fund, then there won't be any money in there to collect, to pay out to the recipients of Social Security. All right. Social Security is actually one of those things, one of those benefits that I agree should be paid out. Okay. I personally think that they should just cut Social Security out 100% as far as people, you know, being given Social Security. Cut it out. Stop people paying Social Security. But the people that still paid into the system should still be paid back at least what they paid in, because people actually paid into the Social Security system. You see it come out of your paycheck every single week or double every other week or whatever it is. You see it come out. So that is not an entitlement. That is a benefit that needs to be paid back to those people whose money was taken from them, and not really voluntarily. Okay. I do know some of you may know that if you want to not pay Social Security and not get any Social Security benefits when you turn of age, there is a way to do it. I'm not sure how complicated it is, but there is a way to do it. And some people have elected to do that. Okay. But most people have not, and have therefore paid into the system. They should be getting that money back. But the reason that this here says that our public debt is 15 trillion as of March of this year is because they're not adding in the 5+ trillion that is owed to Social Security. Okay, so let's carry on here. The remaining 4% are tips, savings bonds, and other securities. All right. The government also owes to, okay, here we go. The government also owes to Social Security Trust Fund and other federal agencies. That's called intragovernmental debt. It's not included in the interest on the debt. So we don't pay interest on the money that we owe Social Security, all right, because it was intragovernmental, all right. Well, that's because it's money the government owes itself. All right. The interest on the debt consumes 7.4% of the FY18 federal budget, which is going to be more than that, and I'll show you why here in a second. That makes it the 4th largest budget item. The only 4 expenses that are bigger are Social Security benefits, military spending, Medicare, and Medicaid. All right. How is it calculated? The interest on, and this is really simple how it's calculated. The interest on the debt is calculated by multiplying the face value of outstanding treasury times their interest rate. Treasury bills have short durations of 1, 3, and 5 months. Notes are sold in 5 and 10 year durations. Bonds are sold 15, 30 years. The short-term debt has a lower interest rate than the long-term debt. Obviously, that's because investors don't demand as much of a return to lend their money for a shorter period of time. The interest rate on each bill, note, or bond depend on what it is, on when it was issued. Interest rates change over time, okay, depending on the demand for U.S. Treasuries. So remember that, ladies and gentlemen, the interest rates on the U.S. Treasuries change depending on demand. Okay, so people have to want to purchase our Treasuries, all right, in order for interest rates to stay low. The less people that want to purchase the Treasuries, the higher that the interest rate will go. Okay, and here it explains it right here. When the demand is high, then the interest rates will be low. When the demand falls, the government has to pay a higher interest rate to sell all its bonds. Compare these changes in recent Treasury yield curves. Okay, you guys can click on this right here and it'll show you. The interest on debt is not simple to calculate. You can simply I don't understand. I think they maybe miswrote here. The interest on debt is not simple to calculate. You can simply multiply the total outstanding debt number by today's interest rate to get the right figure. But in general, a large debt and a high interest rate will create a large interest rate payment, obviously. Okay. Interest on the debt by year, 2008 to 2027. Okay, so here we go. Interest on the debt was $253 billion in 2008. It consumed 8.5%. Okay, In 2009, it was less. It was 187 billion. And why is that, ladies and gentlemen? I'll show you here in a second. It's because the interest rates fell. And yeah, because interest rates fell. So this was the transition from when we went to pretty much normal interest rates to a really, really low, near zero interest rate. As a result, the interest rate on the debt only consumed 5.3% of the FY19 budget, even though the debt rose to 7 trillion. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this right here. So in 2008, we were paying $253 billion of interest on our public debt. Okay. And our public debt in 2008 was $5.8 trillion. Okay. And these numbers here are good because obviously they're in the past. In 2009, it fell. As you can see, the interest rates went down, but our public debt went up. In 2010, it started going up because we started borrowing much more. And as you can see, even though the interest rates is going down, the debt is going up more so that the interest payments have to go up as well, even though the interest rates are going down. Okay. In 2011, interest rates went down again. Okay. Our debt went up again over $1 trillion, and our interest payments went up. So it's a pattern here. Okay. In 2012, our interest rates went down a little bit because we didn't borrow, I guess, quite as much. Or no, because look at this. It's not that we didn't borrow quite as much. It's because the interest rates really went down. And they went down all the way 100 basis points. So even though we borrowed even more. So here between 2010 and 11, we borrowed 1.1 trillion. Here between 2010 and 11, we borrowed almost 1.2 trillion, about 1.16 trillion. So even though we borrowed even more, our interest payments went down because the interest rates went down. Okay, so 13, as you can see, we didn't borrow that much. Interest rates went up a little bit. And 14, you can see the interest payments starting to creep up ever since from the year 2012 ongoing. The interest rates have only been going up. Okay, so fast forward to 2018. It says here that in 2018, we paid $310 billion in interest in our national debt. Not our national, our public debt's $15.7 trillion. As you all know right now that our national debt is just shy of 22 trillion. I think it's 21.7 trillion. Okay, and this number here was really undershot. So take a look at this. For all of fiscal 2018, net interest on the public debt rose by 62 billion to about 371 billion. All right, so they missed the number by roughly $61 billion. So we really paid $371 billion in interest. Okay. And as you can see, they were projecting an interest rate of the 10-year bond to be 2.6%. And in all actuality, is right now it's sitting either at 3 or just a little bit over 3. I think on Friday I saw it sitting at 3% even, either 3% or 2.99. But it may look at how much of a difference just a little bit makes. All right, here they were projecting 2.6 and we were paying 310 billion. In all actuality, it's at about 3. All right, and we're paying 371 billion. So ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you this. I'm not going to go through the rest of these projected years because I don't think that they're going to be valid. Because here, for what they're projecting for 2019, we've already overpassed what they were projecting for 2019. They're saying that the bond yield is going to be around 3.1, and we've already surpassed that many times. And I think it's going to be higher than this come the end of the year. You know, even though we've only got a couple months left, I think that our interest rate, our 10-year bond, is going to be higher than this, and it's going to be sticking higher than this. Okay, so when I said that mathematics is blind, all right, the laws of nature, the laws of physics is blind. It doesn't care who it is that's breaking the laws. All right, the laws of nature the laws of physics, the laws of mathematics, heck, even the laws of common sense, if there is such a thing. All right. So if we are really, if we are way over this right here, all right, we're actually over this. We're actually over the projection that they're projecting for next fiscal year, or for actually the fiscal year that we're in right now, because right now we're in FY19. All right. So we've already surpassed this number for FY19. Do you all think that it's going to get better? I don't think it's going to get better as far as interest rates go. I think interest rates are going to go higher. I think we're going to have to borrow more, all right, in order to pay our debt. So we're going to have to borrow debt in order to pay debt. Okay, and it's just going to be a domino effect. All right, so let's go ahead and finish this off real quick. Got a couple more minutes, so bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so here it says higher interest rates and growing debt are the two main causes of the interest on the debt. But what causes them to rise? Interest rates increase when the economy is doing well. Okay, that's because investors have the confidence to buy riskier assets, such as stocks. There is less demand for bonds, so the interest rates must rise to attract buyers. Right? The debt is, so do you guys get that what it says there? So when times are good, that means that stocks are doing really good, right? So now people are wanting to get into stocks, right, and not necessarily into bonds or notes. Okay, so since there's less of demand for bonds, the interest rate is going to be a little lower because there's a higher demand for stocks. Okay, however, as I've told you all before, really most of the stock market, 90% of the stock market is traded by computers. Okay, so who's really buying these stocks? It's computer algorithms that are owned by big corporations that are using their money to buy back their own stocks. Okay, money that they borrowed at a very low interest rate. However, how are they going to be able to continue to do that? Okay, how are they going to be able to continue to do that if the amount or the price for borrowing money is going up? And that I don't know. Okay, I don't know that they will be able to continue to do that. Okay, so here it says the debt is the accumulation of each year's budget deficit that happens each year. Spending is greater than revenue. All right, and as you can see, every single year, let me show you, every single year, spending has been greater than revenue every year since 2008. And I'm sure since before that, okay? So, but this only goes back to 2008. As you can see, we went, remember, I did a video a while back where I said that the debt has to increase year over year. It has to increase. If it doesn't increase, then we're in trouble. It has to increase in order for this system to continue. It is a debt-based monetary system where the debt has to continue to be created and it has to continue to be increased. And as you can see, there's no such thing as infinite debt, all right? And that's one of the things that I get to. You cannot fool the laws of physics. There is no such thing as infinite debt, okay? Even with computers, there can be no such thing as infinite debt without the system breaking down. So as you can see, there's not 1 year here where the debt went down, all right, over the previous year. Okay. So here it says higher interest rates and growing debt are the two main causes of the interest on the debt. But what causes them to rise? Interest rates rise because the economy is doing well. That's because investors have the confidence to buy riskier assets such as stocks. There is less demand for bonds, so the interest rates must rise to attract buyers. The debt is accumulated for each year's budget deficit. That happens each year. Spending is greater than revenue. A larger debt also affects deficit thanks to the higher interest payments. Yes. Okay, so let's just go ahead and here is just saying since the Bill Clinton administration, each president in Congress has planned to overspend. So they're actually planning to overspend, okay? And I'm going to read this real quick. How it affects you. The interest rate on the debt immediately reduces the money available for other spending programs. So pretty much it. The interest on the debt is going to either make them cut spending, make them increase taxes. Okay, so you're either going to have to cut spending or increase taxes. Okay, If I'm not going to read this whole article, you guys can go and take a look at it. Okay, I'm going to leave you the link. But here's a few ways. I want to read this real quick. All right. The most painless way to reduce the interest on the debt is to lower interest rates. Okay, that's the most painless ways. That won't happen as long as the economy improves. So right now, supposedly we have a booming economy. Interest rates are not going to be going lower. The Fed is saying that they're probably going to increase it by 25 basis points come December. Okay, so that's not going to happen. The second way is to increase tax revenues. That will lower the deficit and add less to the debt. Tax increases are an immediate solution, but they also slow economic growth. So it's a catch-22. All right. In addition, voters reject politicians who raise taxes, as we should. Okay. A fourth way is to cut spending. All right, which is also politically, not politically viable. All right, because people want their free stuff, even though it's not free. That will anger whoever is getting his or her benefits reduced. Although politicians often talk about it, they usually want to cut someone else's spending. All right, that's why Congress wouldn't adopt the bipartisan Simpson-Bowell plan in 2010. Lawmakers passed the 2011 Budget Control Act to force themselves to come up with a solution. When they couldn't, sequestration cut all discretionary spending by 10%. All right, so Congress's reluctance to raise taxes then led to the 2013 fiscal cliff crisis. So here you go, ladies and gentlemen. I recommend you finish reading the article. It's not that long. However, I'm actually running late to go to work this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here. What I'm trying to point out, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are, as far as I'm concerned, we're at the point of no return. And I actually think that we were at the point of no return when the creation of the Federal Reserve was put into law and when the income tax was put into law. Okay, as soon as we started borrowing from the Federal Reserve, that was the point of no return. It's just been a very long and slow grind, at the decomposition of our nation, I would say. Because one thing about anything, all right, think about a household. How efficiently a household runs really depends on its finances. Think about it. You can have the best housekeeping there is. Your house can be the cleanest house on the block. Your lawn can be the nicest lawn. You can have the most and best manicured home in the lot. But if you owe a lot of money, your household is not stable. It doesn't matter how it looks. It's not stable. Almost everything is about finances, okay? As long as it comes to stability, okay? So when people are financially responsible, usually their foundation is a lot stronger than for those who are not. And as you can see, my battery is low on this, so let me go ahead and shut it off. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed this a little bit, maybe got something out of it. If you did, please give it a like. And please share these kinds of videos, okay? It may help to wake someone up and maybe help someone to go and buy their first ounce of silver somewhere. And I recommend, I do this all the time. I don't give anything for birthday presents except for silver. So when someone has a birthday, I give them an ounce of silver, all right? And that's what I give. If you're going to give a birthday present, give somebody an ounce of silver. Wake them up. Let them hold that real money in their hands and give them a 5-minute, educational verse on what you know about silver. Maybe they'll be interested, and maybe that'll plant a seed in their mind to help them to start preparing. So having said that, ladies and gentlemen, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Hey, remember, if you guys are looking to purchase some silver, please use my link below. It will help to support the channel. All right, so many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.